Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Your Time to Shine, a radio show designed to help you explore your own divine gifts. I hope you are all doing well this evening. As we were setting up for the show, my producer says, we don't have any sunlight here. It's 10:30 at night, and I still have sunlight and sunshine here on the West Coast. So I wasn't even thinking about that. So hope you are all having a fantastic evening. I would like to give a real heartfelt prayers, love, and light to all of those who are still reeling from the school shooting that happened on Tuesday in Colorado. And I just want to send all kinds of prayers to the families and to those who are trying to make sense of all of this. And, as I was thinking about tonight's show, I thought that would be a really good time to to dive in to what it means to have prayer in your life, the power of prayer or prayerfulness. And it's really interesting. I grew up in a family that, we didn't go to church every Sunday. In fact, it was one of the very few days that my dad was home. He owned his own business and worked long hours, and usually worked on Saturdays too, especially during the summer when the weather was nice. And so Sunday was our family time. Sunday was our time to spend together. And so for whatever reason, we're just not the church-going family. Now, that didn't mean that, I grew up not believing, because obviously I do believe in a higher power, God. But I really hadn't stopped to think about the power of prayer until I really started practicing mediumship. And let me tell you why that is. So in mediumship, in any religion, people send prayers to others who are needing a little bit of lift in their life, who need a little help, just a little nudge to get them over that hump. And what I have found is when I have been practicing the mediumship, and we have groups of mediums that I keep in contact with, and we're always reaching out to each other and talking to each other, supporting each other. And the power of prayer is really, it's powerful. I mean, there's really no other word for it. And I really experienced that when my husband went through his last back surgery. It was a second back surgery. And the first one, it just seemed the surgery itself, it was fine. So let me just start by saying that the surgery went fine. But the process of getting back to a healthy state took a lot longer than I felt like it should. He was in the hospital for many days rather than just 1 or 2 days. And so there were all these factors going on. And so when I learned that he was going to have a second surgery here just a few months ago, I reached out to my circle of friends and said, hey, I could use some prayers on this for a speedy recovery. And just, really healthy, good thoughts. And, the surgery, there was nothing clinically different. And in fact, it should have been a little bit harder for him to recover because there wasn't a whole lot of time in between the first surgery and the second surgery. But actually, the second surgery went so much better. He was in and out of the hospital. He was up and moving around. The pain level, even though there was pain, I'm not going to say there wasn't, there was pain, but it was so much less. And I can only contribute it to the power of prayer. I've seen it in other situations when people have gone in for surgeries. It's the same thing. They have the same type of responses. And when you get a number of people together in combination, practicing prayer and sending, great thoughts and sending out to the universe really high, good vibes. And there's enough of these people, it just creates this enormous amount of love. And, there's nothing better than that. And there's nothing more healing than that. And that's why prayer is so powerful especially when you get a group of people together and they're all doing for the same thing. It is very, very powerful in how it can turn out and what it sends out to the universe and saying, this is what we are all hoping for. This is what we are asking for. Please grant that now. And all those collective energies are in that same type of asking. And so it just compounds itself and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And with the amount of love that's intended in that too, it's just magnificent. You can do this, and I know there's a lot of people out there that give prayer and thanks before they have, their meals. But a lot of times too, you can pray over your food and for the thankfulness for what you have sitting in front of you, and that you actually have food to consume and to help your body in nourishment. But you can also send out prayers. Like if you are a meat eater, you can send prayers to the animal in its sacrifice so that you could nourish your body and carry on. And you can do that and then take and ask that all energies related to that trauma be released. And just that little bit, there's just something about it that releases and makes the food taste a little bit better. Your body can digest it a little bit easier. Everything just comes with a little bit more ease. What you're doing is you're giving that food a higher vibration. And then when you do that, then when you take it in, then you have an elevated vibration, not only from the food, but from the prayerfulness and the thankfulness of having that food in front of you. So all kinds of reasons to be thankful and be in prayerfulness. And if you are not the type of person like myself who grew up in a church-going family, you might just look at starting a practice. Just try it out and see how it works for you. Because I think you might find that that you too can also find the higher vibration in the food and the change in the quality that it brings. So I hope that was helpful. And again, my heart and my prayers just go out to all of those families. I've just been thinking about it nonstop. So I hope that I hope that you can find some peace very soon in all of this tragedy. So right now, we are going to go to the phones. We have Erica in Texas. Good evening, Erica, and welcome to Your Time to Shine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What can we do for you tonight?
I was just wondering a general reading.
Okay. Let me tune in here for just a minute, and I will see what your guides have to say. So there'll be just a little bit of silence as I'm tuning in. So I will be right back with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Erica, it's really interesting. I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling a pain in my tooth. What Spirit is trying to tell me is that recently you have had kind of a hard time maybe speaking up for yourself or finding the words to describe either how you are feeling or finding the words to have a serious heart-to-heart discussion with someone.
Yes, I do. And I feel, I mean, that's with my ex-husband, or my husband. He's my ex-husband. But
Okay.
we live together.
Okay. So in this situation that you're in right now, so I'm getting that in this relationship that you don't have a voice in this relationship, and it's been very, very hard for you to be able to not say what's on your mind. And Spirit is asking you to sit down and have that conversation with your ex-husband. I'm getting the feeling that the situation that you guys have right now, where you guys really aren't together, but you're still living together, that once worked for you guys. I feel like it maybe still works for him, but it's not working out for you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe that situation has flipped, and you've realized that this just is no longer a good situation. So your guides are saying that you really need to sit down and have that heart to heart.
It's hard to even get him to think. I mean, to even get it through his head, like, you know, like for instance, he's raised in the old days, you know, back in the old days, which is how they punish kids, you know. And I try to explain it to another way. And it is hard to get it through his head.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I don't know what else to do.
Okay, hang on just a minute. They're saying to find some common ground with him, because there is that disconnect where he is, like you said, he's living in a different era. He's thinking in a different era, or typically different, and you know, to be able to get onto the same level with him, being in that same era, and showing him that, you know, what once was is not really working right now. And then give him examples of why that is, and do it with a lot of love and compassion, because I think they're showing me that you've been kind of going around, you know, it's been really tough, and there's been maybe even some arguments over this, and they're saying that if you can bring it to the table to not have as much emotion in it, be more businesslike, more matter.
You don't understand how. I can't. I mean, he just won't listen to me. I mean, we can't sit down and talk without having an argument. And sometimes it gets pretty ugly, you know. Right.
So then in that situation, is there a way that you can come in from a different angle with love and compassion, right? Mm-hmm. He feels like every time you sit down that there's going to be this judgment. So if you can come in with a different feel right from the get-go, he's going to be able to notice that change, and it's going to be a little bit easier for you guys to sit down and talk. Because right now he feels very, when you come to talk to him, he feels very threatened. And you don't mean it to be in that way, but that's how he's feeling. And so there's this instant disconnect between the two of you. And that's why you guys are not able to communicate in this way. So if you can come to, like I said, bring this love and this compassion rather than more of a pointedness, I think it will go much easier. Your guides are also saying that if that doesn't work, bring in a third person, like a neutral person, to help kind of navigate, almost like a mediator, right? When you mediate something, so have a friend, maybe a family member, somebody who's more on neutral ground, and one that your husband feels like they would fight for him as much as they would fight for you.
Yeah, it's because, right, it'd have to be somebody like a counselor, somebody like licensed. We don't know because our families don't get along. Okay.
Yeah, that might be what it takes. If you can't have that, if you can't get through to him with more of the love and compassion, you might have to go to an actual mediator if there isn't anybody else that you know of that could help with that common ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they say that you're really putting your life on hold, and they said they understand why. But they say it's time for you to be. This is time for you to be you, right? You've kind of sacrificed, and your team is acknowledging that, and they're saying, it was a good thing and it needed to be done, but now it's time to move forward.
How do I even start? I'm always putting other people in front of me before I do it for myself.
I understand, right? Excuse me. I understand that, being an empath, which I feel that you are always going to want to try to put somebody else in front of you. And the hardest thing to do is try to put ourselves first. It's something that I still struggle with, all the time. But it's something you're going to have to dig really deep to be able to put yourself first in this situation.
I don't know. Like for what? Let me see. Okay, we've been married 19 years, 20 years. Like, we have 5 kids together, and now he's, pretty much, he's worked all his life, and I've stayed home, taking care of kids, did jobs in and out, But now, here recently, he hurt his back, and I, now I got me a job, and he's not liking it, and when I come home, I have to do double. I still have to come home and do things that I do, even though I wasn't working. And that's what gets to me. And I don't get how to tell him, now it's your turn, you got to help me out. I'm not telling you, he has surgery on his back. And I'm not telling you to do, like things you're not supposed to, but help me out a little bit, And that's what we've been fighting about here lately.
Right. In that, I understand that completely. And I think that what it might come down to is, like you said, is having some type of a counselor or a mediator or some type of person to come in and help with the situation if you're unable to get through to him, right?
Can I ask you, why does he have his mom involved in everything? Like, anytime we fight, argue, he runs to her and has to tell her everything. You know, it's none of her business. Nobody's business but ours. And another thing he does that can't stand, and you know, he likes to take the vehicles away from us. Like I said, you know, I have 6 kids, and of course, they all have different times to go to school. They have jobs to go to. They have events, you know, like school stuff to go to. And he's like, for us to, we're always in the car, we're always, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want me driving your car, you take them. And it's not working out that way.
Mm-hmm. There's a real strong, yeah, there's a real strong connection between him and his mom. You know, I understand where you're coming from, where you feel that it's not her business, but there's a very strong connection where he sees her as someone who will listen more than anything. Not for anything to other than, you know, not to act on anything or do anything, but just a sounding board. As far as the vehicle goes, this is the only thing in his life he feels that he can control anymore. He is feeling that he has no control because he is injured, and he has had to kind of relinquish his role as being the provider, and he's had to rely on you, and that's very, very tough for him.
Yeah,
you know, he very much has the understanding and the thought process that the man should be the provider. And that's really not how it looks anymore in this world. You know, a lot of times the women are the providers in the family. And so roles are changing, but he has not been able to accept that fact. And so he feels like the only piece he has is like taking the cars away. That's his control piece. I'm not saying that it's right, but that is kind of where he's coming from on that piece.
I just don't know.
Yeah, they're saying, Spirit is saying that if you, he's kind of lost his ability to, it's like he's kind of given up on life, right? He feels disvalued because he's been injured and because he can't take care of his family and provide for his family. He doesn't understand that helping you out around the house or doing these other things is very, very helpful. That is providing. You need to show him that is a way of providing. That just because he's not providing monetarily, that this would be his contribution. And this is what you really need to have him do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I just don't know how to get to sit down without arguing. I just, you know, I go home. I mean, I go to work in the morning, and I don't come home till like now. You know, I go find yards or other things to do. Why? Because I don't want to sit here and argue with him.
Right. No, I understand. When you're stretched so thin, it's really hard to find that time. You know, so carve out some time on a weekend if you can. A little time on a weekend and try talking to him again. And again, if it doesn't work, then you know, go look somebody up who can help you guys talk and who can maybe help him see the other side. Because I think if he understands that he still has value in this family, it's going to help him be able to move forward. Because right now he feels he has no value. And he's very angry.
Like, it's been a while, you know, that I don't even consider us a family anymore. You know, it's just like,
Right.
I don't know, just somewhere to stay and live, you know, stay. That's it for me. It don't even feel like
Right.
home.
Right. So I would say that you really probably should look into getting some outside help, like a counselor or something, where each of you can share your ideas in a setting that somebody can mediate between the two of you.
Yeah, I've thought about that, but I just don't know where to start, who to ask, because he speaks a lot of Spanish, you know, and somebody who could do for both, because I understand more English than that I would, you know, like, and things like that.
Right. Ask around. You know, even go to your doctor's office and ask them if. A lot of times, doctors will have their own contacts, right, within the system. So try some of those types of things. You could even go to your kids' school because sometimes they will have counselors and family help that they can refer you to. So check out some of those possibilities to kind of help. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, we are coming down to the very end of our show, so I just want to say thank you so much for calling in tonight, and I hope this helped you out.
You did tell me a few things that, you know, that how I'm feeling and things like that.
Right. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that does it for us here. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in this evening. You can catch me over at my Facebook page at Julie YeagerWalker Medium or Your Time to Shine, or I have a website that you can go to, www.wingsofsoulswithjulie.com. Good night, everyone. From all of us here at A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV, have a wonderful night.